Welcome to yet another unusual recipe from our collection of culinary goodies. The recipes we demonstrate here have been gleaned from an assortment of unusual sources. Yet again, we've delved into this little cookery book we originally purchased as a Kindle read. This time the recipe we're going to sample is from the Cakes and Buns department, entitled Vikky Buns. Here you can see the ingredients listed. We have granulated sugar, we have flour, we have butter, we have ground rice, which is a little unusual, we have currants, we have candied peel, 2 eggs, and half a teaspoonful of baking powder. So the first thing we want to do, following the recipe, is separate the 2 eggs into their respective yolks and whites. Bit of a fiddly job. Next we have to do first the yolks, then the whites. The idea now is to add the 2 of them together. And give them a good whisk. Now I have to add the granulated sugar. Here we go. Okay, the next one is, you guessed it, that's the butter. This has been softened in the microwave for about 5 or 6 seconds. I'm sure a lot of people do it, but do be careful if you haven't tried it before in the microwave, because very quickly that butter will go to a pool of oil on your saucer or whatever if you do it for any longer. It has to be a little bit careful. Those microwaves can melt very quickly. So there we go. Now what we have to do, obviously, here we go, this is the butter's been softened up quite nicely, so we can put that into the mixture. And give it a good whisk. Right, now let's add the remainder of the ingredients, starting off with the plain flour. And we do it a little bit at a time. Once that's done, we want to add the ground rice, which seems a very strange ingredient, I think. Something you never normally find in cakes or buns, ground rice. And at this stage we want to add the baking powder, because we'll be using the mixer for this to distribute it properly through the mixture, but the last 2 ingredients are of course the currants and the candied peel, and we're not going to use the mixer for that. We're just going to fold those in So take those out of the way. And we use, say, a spoon rather than the mixer to do these two. Let's start off. Let's have the candied peel. And stir that in. And the currants. Next job we have is to cover 2 baking trays with 2 sheets of greaseproof paper. Some people may not wish to do that and just put grease on the trays, just grease trays, but I find that things come off a lot easier if you just use a piece of baking paper on the top. I always put a little bit of marge underneath to hold it still while he's actually putting the ingredients on the paper, as it has a tendency to slide around on the tray otherwise. Now, according to what the recipe says, we're supposed to dust our hands lightly in flour and break the mixture into plum-sized portions. And it tells us to flatten them out a little bit and allow plenty of room for them to spread as they cook. Interesting. That sticky stuff, you do definitely need that flour. According to the into the bottom of the recipe, it suggests this mixture will provide us with about a dozen good-sized buns, and hey, that's just what I managed on this occasion. That's pretty good. So the recipe states a middling oven temperature setting, so I'm going to set it to about 160 or 70 degrees centigrade. That's a gas mark 3 or 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the trays above each other in the oven. But knowing the unevenness of the cooking cycle in this particular oven, I shall move them around a couple of times during the cooking cycle to try and even out the browning of them. Recipe states 20 to 30 minutes cooking time. I think it'll be best to start with 25 minutes. Partway through the cooking cycle, we can already see that the buns have started to flatten out on the paper. I think we left just about enough room around them there. In the end, I allowed about 32 minutes cooking time, which is a bit more than what the recipe said. We set the baking trays on the table, 2 or 3. I'm not quite sure why I said 3 when I only had 12 buns. And a bit shallow for buns, they look to me, but I'll have a peep at the consistency and the sample in a minute. Okay, let's have a little look at one and see what it looks like. There we go, let's have a look. Looks quite nice. Oh, there we go. That's a dozen Vikky Buns. On reflection, these didn't last long with the family, so I think on a future occasion I might actually double the number of ingredients. Here's a recipe in case you missed it at the beginning of this video. Thanks for watching.